Oh, hello and welcome to the Game On Expert interview. As it popped up, I saw I had the wrong banner on the top of my screen. I love that. Hello, I am Jean Barry. I'm so glad that you're here to the Game On Expert interviews, where I bring in people who will support you in your world, your life, your businesses, and having it all work with more joy. And I'm going to say joy today because today we have an incredible guest.
Mm.
Shannon Hernandez is the joyful marketer. And I met Shannon maybe 5 years ago. I don't remember. It was a little
Yeah.
while ago, but we had so much fun together doing all kinds of cool things. And Shannon truly is all about that joy in life and biz and is specifically known around the globe for her joyful marketing methodology. She works with online coaches and consultants, teaching them how to market and sell from a place of joy first and build a profitable business that includes abundant time off, which heck yeah, I am all
Heck yeah.
over that.
I had to use the word abundant. Like, when you write your little bio and there's certain things you want to say, but it's got to feel right. And I was like, no, it's abundant because that's what I'm known for, right? Is helping people, in my words, make a shit ton of money and have time to go do all the things they want to be doing in the world besides working.
The end. Okay, we're done. We're done here, right?
That's it. Nice interview. Oh my
So
God.
thank you
It's
guys
so
for coming today. We have some people hopping on live with us. Joanne, Beth, yay! Angie, so glad that you're here with us live. And of course, if you have questions along the way, feel free to pop them right in there in the chat, and we will do our best to answer them. And I want to ask you a few things about being joyful. So there are a couple of people actually in my community who really like joy is their thing. Like this is what they do.
I got to meet these people.
Oh, oh,
We're on a
exactly.
mission.
Exactly, exactly. And yet you apply it in a really specific way. I mean, you put it in your whole life. I know it's true. But I know that this isn't where you always were. Like you had to seek and find that. And so would you take a few minutes and share about a little bit about your story about how you got to this point of being the joyful marketer?
That's a very long story,
Well,
but I'm
I
going to
know it
give the
actually is,
cliff
but
notes.
kind of highlights.
So, I was a oh Lord, I was a middle school teacher. High school probably would have been easier. Middle schoolers are a little wacky. All right. And it takes wacky people to deal with them. So I'm owning it. Like I must be a little wacky myself. But I was a middle school teacher. I taught 10 years in Charlotte and then I taught 5 years in Spanish Harlem in New York City. And I actually posted something on my wall this week on Facebook and I was like, reflection. I can do anything. I was once a teacher in Harlem. Like, it was my big aha during meditation. I'm like, I'm doing this. Like, whatever it is, I'm just going to remember where I came from. And as much as I love teaching, Jean, and you know this, I am a teacher, a speaker, and I just want to teach people. That's my joy. I just wasn't happy in the school system anymore. I wasn't happy with how things were going. In education, I wasn't happy with how I was being told I needed to teach. I wasn't happy with the politics and the testing, and the list went on. And I was just like, okay, I'm out of here. So looking back, that was really like my first, like, put my flag in the sand. I ain't doing this shit anymore because it ain't joyful. Right? That was the first kind of thing. Now, I didn't have those words for it back then, but what I knew is I was having more bad days than good days. And David Krugman, a high school friend, once told me when I went to him and said, I don't know if I should break up with this guy. He said, are you having more bad days than good days? I said, yeah. And he goes, you need to break up with the guy. So applied that, went on this journey of business ownership, which, as we all know, is the greatest spiritual journey you'll ever go on in your entire life. It is not for the faint of heart. And in just a couple years had built a multi six-figure business. And that wasn't always joyful. There was a lot of ups and downs and learning curves and trials and errors and experiments. But what I finally landed on, when I landed on it, was if it ain't joyful, I ain't doing that shit. I am not doing videos. I'm not doing podcasts. I'm not doing interviews. I'm not doing blogging. I am not doing anything that does not bring me joy, period. And I thought, I bet there's more people who might like to do a business like this. And so I went out and I built a methodology that I use to teach coaches and consultants around the globe how to build, market, and sell with joy as the foundation of their business. And
Yep.
it has been so much fun
That
to
is
be
awesome.
here.
Yeah, no, well, and we're glad you're here. And so Dr. Angie says, "Yep, I was a middle school teacher too, seventh grade science. Woohoo!"
Oh yeah, she knows.
And I'm wondering if you're watching today or if you're watching this later, if you can relate to any part of this. Like, is there anything that you're like, okay, more bad days than good days, or like this just is no fun? Like,
Yeah.
what I'm doing every day, I wake up and like and Indian, I don't think it's necessarily fun per se. Like I am the queen of play, but not all play is designed to be fun. And yet it's got to be expansive and
Mhm.
feel good in your body, right?
Yeah, yeah, so true. And Jane, I know we haven't caught up like friend to friend in quite a while, but I'm working on a new body of work that is not marketing related, and it's called The Joyful Experiment. And I am going to be hand illustrating a book. The vibe is kind of going to be along this line.
Oh, hang on, let me
Hand
put you big on the
illust.
screen.
Mm-hmm.
There you are. No, you're not big on the screen. There we go. There you are.
Okay, hand illustrating a book that's very similar in vibe to this, which is an inspiration piece that I picked up from a friend. And this book is the working thing right now is 10 ways that joy makes your life better. And it's going to have colorful illustrations. As you know, I've gone on this art journey this past year, and I want to share that. I want to share the color and the vibrancy and bring women back to this place of what is joyful for me and how does that impact me, my relationships, my connection with myself, my spirituality, my making the world a better place. And so I've outlined the book today, and I'm going to get started.
Yay. Well, I'm excited to hear about that because, a lot of the people that end up inside of my communities in my world that show up tend to be artists and creatives and that kind of thing first. Like that's where they start. And then they're like, I don't get it. I don't get this business thing. I don't get how to make that go. And then you came at it from kind of the other side of saying, I'm running a business, but wait, we can be creative. In fact, it can
Mm-hmm.
serve your soul in such a deep, amazing way.
Yeah.
And all of those kind of things. I love that, as you coming into it powerfully and saying, wow, let's shift the world, and this really balanced kind of way of saying, what if we can find joy not just in our businesses and marketing, which it is a very cool piece of work, right? That you do
Mm-hmm.
inside of
Yeah.
marketing. And yet you've also seen the breadth of your life expand by saying, okay, let's add joy into each one of those. And a lot of times I know you found creativity as the answer to joy showing
Yeah.
up in that part of your world.
Well, honestly, it wasn't always true. That part wasn't true. I had blocked, and I know when, and I'm happy to share the story if you want to hear it, but I had blocked off my creativity. And I had told myself for years, I'm not creative, I'm not artistic. My sister is the artist. I can't draw, I can't color, I can't paint, I can't do any of these things. And I finally got sick of my own lousy stories about a year ago. And I'm like, you have built a $500,000 a year brand by putting joy first, working 3 days a week. Certainly you can pick up a damn crayon and color something. And I did. And I did. And that has been a journey. I've worked with a creativity coach, Dr. Manette Riordan. I've just done a deep, soulful exploration of creativity, because my brain was, even though I had joyful marketing and I was leading people through joyful marketing, my brain was always thinking about joyful marketing, and that's not so joyful. That's the path to burnout at the end of the day.
Right.
So that was a journey, Jean, that I had to
Yeah.
come back to.
Yeah, no, and I think that even for people who become creatives as a business, they have to come through their whole night of the dark or the whatever the saying is. I've totally lost it. The walking through the
Night of,
valley, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And finding that they're okay and they're safe in expressing all those deep things that are inside them. Janie says, I woke up from brain surgery and had an epiphany, and I've got a new lease on life. Wow, that's quite a shift. I can
Mm-hmm.
imagine that that kind of um, invasive, like go into your brain. I don't know what you had done, Janie. Wow.
Yeah, that's a wow moment for sure. And like Janie, I want to say, and I'll probably cry here, but it's okay. I cry all the time in my own Facebook group. They're used to it. Um, in March, I went in for a hysterectomy, and standard hysterectomy, supposed to be no big deal. Right before COVID hit, didn't even know COVID was a thing because I was so freaking sick. My kidneys had gone into failure. And by the time we caught it, I'm lucky to be here. We had to rush to the hospital and get treatment right away. And I stayed in there for a long time till my bladder decided to get on board with its job again. But there was a moment where I was laying there and I wasn't sure I was coming out. And I remember a voice dropped in and said, first I said, I'm not dying. And then the voice came and said, you're going to do more of what matters and take it to the people. And I thought, what the hell does that mean? Like, but it was this year from March till now that doing more of what matters really amplified that joy factor and has been a catalyst for this book. Because take it to the people is get the people back to joy. Get the people back to joy. And that's really like the driving force of this new body of work that's coming called the Joyful Experiment.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. And I love also your ability to step in and say, you know what? Yeah, I hear that voice. I
Mm-hmm.
hear that message. I hear that calling. And I have enough, inner strength to say, I'm going to walk that path.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Yeah.
that this is one of the things that you do so extraordinarily for the people that walk with you is that you do walk the path with them. Like it's not
Yeah.
like saying we're setting ourselves up on a pedestal here and say I'm a guru of something here, and we're walking the path, right? You
Yeah.
take them by the hand and say, okay, what is it you really, really, really want?
Yeah. And then let's go do that.
Yeah, I love that. Hmm. So, what is your favorite way then to when you're in a non-joyful place? Because we all get there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what are some of your go-tos for that stepping into it? So hang on, I want to just back up for a second because Joanne
Sure.
wrote something. She said, "I have that calling too." From Joanne
Mm.
Shannon, she says, "My mission is to spread joy." In fact, we
We
often
got to
call her
connect.
Joy Ann. Exactly. I know.
Yeah.
Definitely. That is a shared calling that that
Mm-hmm.
needs to be expressed. What are some of the ways that you step back there, especially inside of business and things, heavy things like making money? And for some
Mm-hmm.
people, for some people they're like, I don't know how to do this. And so then they're
Yeah.
like, okay, now what?
Yeah. Well, I think I can talk about both biz and life. Um, when things get heavy in my business, what I have to remember, oh man, there's just so many like little golden nuggets we could pull here. One, I know and my body knows. I know the truth. I have to get quiet and I have to ask myself, where is this fear coming from, or where is this anxiety coming from? And then, okay, acknowledge it, because you can't ignore it. That doesn't help anything. All right. So, okay, the anxiety is coming that I have a program coming and I have low registration. Okay, great. That's where the anxiety is. Okay, what's the next best step I can take to go feel better about that? And usually it's like, find someone to interview, like something joyful, right? That like, reach out to 5 people, tell them how proud you are of them, like, because that's the energy that comes back to you in your business and in your life. And so that's like the business side. And I went through, as you know, a huge transition the past two years in my marriage, just with lots and lots of grief. And the transition was, I had been married for, oh gosh, 9 years, and my spouse transitioned to a woman. And that threw the whole frickin' apple cart of marriage for a loop. Seriously, I have never had to navigate anything as big and heavy, and you gotta like grieve the person who's still here, but they're not because they're different. And you need to let all of that go and basically date again and start over again. And it was huge. And up until about April or May, I was still in deep grief. Like, I'd have moments of joy in my marriage and remember that the person I married, their gender isn't what is actually why I married them, right? I married them for all these other qualities, which, believe me, I had to list 1,000,000 times in a journal to remind myself, right? And like to see it and feel it and embody it. And to be recommitted and just stay committed to the love, because that's what I'm about at the end of the day, is to stay committed to being a love leader and a stand for love. And when those waves of grief came, and they were ugly, they were laying on the floor, sobbing. First, I had to acknowledge what it was. Then usually I needed to get out and walk. And I walked more the last 2 years than I can. I have walked and walked and walked probably marathons a week easily, because I need to move that energy. And that the movement helps me, for some reason, process grief and sadness and all those things, and get back to joy, because there wasn't much else I could do, Jean. I wasn't in a place to write. I wasn't in a place to go talk to people about anything. I mean, I thank God I am in therapy, because it needed to happen, right? But it was movement and getting out and just breathing and sobbing and breathing and sobbing and just letting it run its course. And wow, it's been a journey, but here we are.
Well, and I so appreciate you sharing that, because, a lot of times I think people look at, you know, I'm going to say trainers at this moment, like, even if it's a
Yeah.
trainer for joy, and think that their life is perfect in every way. Like, oh, well, they have it easy. Their life is perfect.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's just not. And
No.
I think that that's it is this whole idea of shifting from um, who we are at a core level and bringing more of that forward and just keep looking for it. And one of the things that you started to talk about recently is this idea of scaling joy. Now, I know in the business world, there's this whole idea about scaling your business up, right? Let's make it 6 figures, 7 figures. Let's, whatever that idea of how do you scale your
Mm-hmm.
business. And yet, this is an incredibly cool conversation. Say,
Mm-hmm.
what's scaling joy? Because I think
Yeah.
most people can access joy a little bit here and there. Like, they know what it is, right? We know when we're in joy.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, so would you define scaling joy then as simply having more of it? Or
I think, yeah. So this is interesting. I ran a mastermind this year called the Joyful CEO. And it was for people, women who have made, let's say, 5 to 8,000 per month, and they want to increase that. But they didn't just want to increase that. They wanted to increase it by simplifying things, by having more time off, by traveling more, by doing more hobbies. And so I thought, God, we're scaling their joy. Like, I should actually call the program that, right? Scale your joy and watch your business soar. Um, so it was fascinating to kind of see what that meant to each of them. And for many of them, it was just working less, literally like taking now 4 days to work and 3 days off, or taking sabbatical twice a year for 2 months, or bringing another coach in or a team member in who can take some of the responsibility off so that this person could make more money and do more joyful things. It was finding the organizations they wanted to donate to and scaling their joy that way, right? Because I really believe that women with money change the world. They change their families, their legacies, their communities. And so I'm a stand for women making money and scaling their joy so they can change the world in both ways. And so I'm not sure I've landed on a definitive answer yet, because scaling the joy depends on what you want more of in your business. And I, as you know, as a truth guide, I'm not defining that for people. I'm not saying what that is.
So Shannon and I actually met each other inside of Beth Grant's work, which is that description truth guide, which is in contrast often to the guru, right? The guru
Mm-hmm.
who is going to tell you, this is how you do it. This is the next step. Here's my 10-step thing to do this. And it's not like as truth guides we don't have steps to things, but we're not going to tell you how to approach that or how to make this true for you. So I love that.
Yeah.
Mm. So Janie says, it kind of circling back to the voice in our head, right? She says, while I was healing and starting waffling, my mind was going back, and my dad's voice said to me, "What the hell's the matter with you?" And it made me stand up and say, "Yes, sir."
Oh, that dad voice, it just sometimes never goes away.
Well, I think ultimately our higher selves are orchestrating always to give us the thing that will have us sit up and pay attention. Like, what will you in this moment pay attention to so that I can give you everything you want?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. I just want to just kind of bask in that for a hot second and just say, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're watching today, what do you want more of? Like, that's what I really want to know, what you want more of or less of. Like, that could be part of it too. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
the idea of letting go some of those things.
Well, and I think it's a fascinating time to talk about this, because I don't know about you or your audience, but I choose a word for to guide the year, a theme for the year. At this time, I'm in deep reflection of thinking about my word for the year that's going to guide me. And I often find that that word is either determined by what I'm lacking and want more of, or what I overdid and need less of. So the year that my spouse transitioned, my word was adventure. And I was like, I should have frickin' like defined that a little better. Like, that whole year was one big fucking adventure. Let's be real. All right. So then I was like, oh God, okay, the next year, which is this year, my word was sanctuary.
Mm.
I wanted to feel so good in my soul. My business is a sanctuary, my home, which, as you know, we've just moved into our beautiful home in New Jersey. But I wanted everything to feel like this sacred sanctuary. And I did it. This year, I can say, like, I did it. But what did it require? Simplifying, turning off the noise, not second guessing myself, falling in love with my spouse again, you know, I'll say it here. I bought $1 million home this year. And I thought that was crazy from a teacher from 7 years ago. But guess what? It's not crazy because that's the lifestyle that we've been able to build together and through this business of putting it as a sanctuary so it's joyful and it feels good. And yes, I'm thinking about my word for next year, and I think it's inspired.
Mm.
It just feels so sparkly. Like warm and fuzzy and
Sparkle.
sparkly.
That sounds awesome. You know, it's so funny. I totally resist the word of the year. I don't know why. I just resist it. But every year one picks me. Like I'm like, oh, okay, there's my word. And it just shows up. 2 years ago it was pizza, which was funny as hell for me because in fact, I don't even eat pizza, which is another whole thing. But it's the idea that, you can throw a whole bunch of things on something that kind of looks like a crust and call it pizza, and it's still pizza.
Yeah.
And for me, that meant doing whatever I want, like whatever I want, and
Hmm.
it's still a pizza.
Yeah. Yeah. Still a pizza, fruit pizza, veggie pizza, a cookie pizza.
Exactly, exactly. And then last year, I ended up with the harmonic resonance of love, which was like, oh,
Ah.
fascinating. And yet, when you start to look back on, so what happened inside of that? Amazing, right?
Mhm.
Amazing alignment for me. And certainly no one expected to be home and quarantined and that kind of thing this year. And yet
Yeah.
the thing that grew for me was love. Like it
Mhm.
grew everywhere. And so I do love that idea of hanging out in this thing that's uniquely you, which actually brings me around the corner to talk about something that you do that's about people being uniquely them, which is a really,
Yeah.
really cool, sweet little quiz. But before I get there, there's this little delay between the live and us sitting here. So
Yeah.
we have some really beautiful words coming in that people are thinking about or hanging out in for the year. Joanne said her year for 2020 was magic. Of course,
Hmm.
Joyanne is magic. Um, Dr. Angie, certainty. Yeah, everyone's looking for a little bit of certainty at the moment. That is absolutely true.
Hmm.
Beth says my word this year has been doing, and it's true. Actually, it's kind of funny, and she moved to Greece, and she, like, and she, wrote a book, and she, like, it was all of these interesting things inside of that. And she's saying her word for 2021 is creating, which is really fascinating because you've been doing creating too, Beth. I think that's amazing. Janie says, my word would be clarity. It feels so
Hmm.
encompassing to me. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice. I like that.
I,
Okay, well, I'm going to hang out in what 2021 is. We'll see what word picks me for that.
and we want to know, Jean, so please tell us when it picks you.
Okay, okay. I will let you all know. We'll be hot on that. So, circling back around, you have created actually a really cool piece of work that is about people finding what is uniquely them inside their businesses and in their marketing and the things that bring them joy, called the
Hmm.
Content Personality Wheel.
Yeah.
And you had just created that when I met you, in fact. And we were talking about how, putting that out there and some of the beautiful things that have been created inside of that. And
Yeah.
I really love the idea of doing marketing in a way that's joyful, like only that way. And yet we are
Hmm.
so bombarded with the ways that we should do marketing that it's nearly impossible to separate our desires from what we think we should do.
Yes.
So, can you tell a little bit about that fabulous piece of work?
Yes. So this fabulous piece of work is called the Content Personality Wheel. And you can take a quiz on my website. It'll take you about 2.25 minutes. And in that time, you will receive your result of what is your best way to show up. Now, here's the caveat, people. So listen, it's not necessarily what is the way you love showing up to do your marketing, but it's the way that it takes a blend of how you consume material like this video and how you would put out material if you had all the support and resources that you needed, and it scores you on your content personality. And that is where you're going to best show up and be the most authentic to increase the sales in your business. And I always like to say there's 5. So you score 1 of 5: written, audio, video, live in person, which right now is virtual live in person, and visual. So if you like to create graphics and stuff. But it's a beautiful body of work. And then it helps you see, how do I build my email list using what I scored? How do I build my audience? How do I take my offers out and market them in a way that feels good? And we've helped thousands of people around the world with this quiz. And some people, it's like not a surprise, but they're not doing it.
Well,
So it's
right,
kind of like, oh.
Yeah, when I first took it, of course, I thought you were supposed to be writing blogs. Like that's what I thought you were supposed to do. And of course, I'm totally visual. Everyone knows that about me. Like,
Yeah.
yes, visual. And then I love live in person as well. That's kind of a backup for me. But there's no question that visual is my number one. And so I would always put that last because thinking that that wasn't the thing I should put out there. And when I start putting it first and saying, oh, wait, make a picture first and it's pretty. Oh, after I wrote the picture, actually I can write the heck out of it. Like I have all kinds of things to say about it once I have this visual that guides me through that. And so there's no question that those things really help us stay focused. There's so many things to take away our focus.
Yeah.
And to hang out in that. So we have, like we got all kinds of people. A couple of people say they've already taken it. Cool. And writing and in person. Yep. Live in person. Two people live in person. Cool. Excellent.
And for those of you that are live in person right now, your best thing to do is video. Summits, interviews like this, where you're live and interacting, webinars, Q&A calls, get to know you chats, whatever, because we thrive live in person, but we can't be live in person technically. So you got to bend the rules a little.
That totally works. So if they haven't taken the quiz though, where can they find that?
They can find it on my website. It's M as in Mary, mshannonhernandez.com/quiz. We'll take them right to the page where they can get their results. And listen, if you took it quite a while ago, take it again because you evolve and you morph and you change. And let's make sure you're still in alignment so you get the best results in your marketing.
Beth, which part scares you? Beth says that scares me. Being in person live on the video. Is that what scares you? I'm interested.
Yeah, we want to know what you're scared of.
I know.
We'll help you.
Exactly. It is all good. So what is, I'm thinking of making this, what is the thing then? If someone was like totally wanting to shift their video, she just wrote video. I said video. Beth's afraid of video.
Beth, message me. We'll get you over it. You're going to talk to an onion. Really. We'll get you over it.
Talk to an onion. That's really funny. Does it make you cry then?
Nope. Does the opposite. Makes you fall in love with video.
Ooh, very fascinating. Okay,
it's
well,
an
I'm
exercise I really use. Use with people who are so scared. It's like, here's the thing. Hold your camera up or put it up. Your phone is your camera, right? Set it up and then have someone put an onion here and just say, this is practice. Hey, onion, you're looking kind of flaky or whatever. Why do you make me cry? I'm not crying now. The point is to get you out of your head of looking at yourself And to remember, your people on the other side of the video need to hear your message. So we have to get over it in a loving way, not like pushing you so far out that you're like crying.
Oh, beautiful. All right. So what would you say then is the first step to scaling joy?
Clarity. You have to know what you want more of. And when you know those two things, I think you become unstoppable. I say clarity plus consistency is what gives you the results that you want. And you might be wondering, like, well, how the hell do you be consistent in joy? Well, let's scale your joy. Okay, you love sunrise every morning with a cup of coffee. This is me, right? If I miss sunrise with a cup of coffee, it is not joyful for me the rest of the day. So I make sure I'm in bed by 8:30 or 9. I'm waking up at 4:35, 5:30, naturally, no alarm clocks because those are not joyful. And I am getting up and I am getting my coffee and I am getting ready with my $1,000,000 view out my windows to have sunset and coffee. So if I love that so much and I'm not clear about it and I'm not consistent with it, you're not in joy.
So then what about that little voice in your said that her head that says, but if I get up early, then, I disturb everyone else in the house or, like that starts to say, yeah, buts. Like, what do you do with that?
I kick that little voice right to the curb. I mean, at the end of the day, are you really going to wake anyone up in your house by watching a sunset? No. And guess what? If you're tired later, build into your schedule an hour to take a nap. There's always a way. There's always a solution. It's the little voices that they're like little gremlins. They're joy stealers. They're gremlins who come by and take away your joyful
I kind of like
ideas.
that visual. You see, I kind of like that visual saying, they're sneaking through and they're kind of, sneaky little things and they come by and then I can just slap their hand like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what I thought of when I said that? This is going to be really gross, but you know those Mucinex commercials where those little green snotty guys are like, you can't kill me, and then they take the Mucinex. They're like, I'm dying. That's what I saw. I'm going to have to draw that. Just saying.
Okay, want to see your doodle on that. Angie says she just took the quiz and it did change for her. It's video now. Yeah. Woo-hoo.
All right, Angie, we're going to talk to onions.
Well, actually, Angie actually did take on. I see a video of hers almost every day of little drawings she does. She's an extraordinary watercolorist. And so she's doing all these beautiful watercolors. And
Angie,
so,
please friend me. I'm getting into watercolor. I'd love to see what you're doing.
ooh.
That's fun.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so let's the wrap up question, right? Okay, so what is the one thing that everyone should know today?
Mm-hmm. Joy is a choice. Full stop.
Mic drop. That's right. We're done.
I have nothing else to say on that.
Yeah. Beautiful. No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
I mean, when you really think about it, it is a choice. And there's circumstances all of us have been through. But at the end of the day, you get to choose. Do you want to try to do one thing that'll bring you a little more peace, ease, and joy? Or are you going to wallow in it? And sometimes you got to wallow, not going to lie. But eventually you're going to come to a point where you're like, this kind of sucks. Like, I'd actually like to do something different now. Joy is a choice.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. And I love you. And thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me and chatting with our community and the Game On expert interviews and wrapping up our 2020 interview series with, I know, you are the full circle wrap up for our 2020 as we all, I think, are all shifting and saying, okay, let's wrap 2020 in a beautiful bow.
Mm-hmm.
And
And keep it moving. That's been my mantra this year. I'm just keeping it moving. Just gonna keep it moving. Whatever I gotta move through this crazy year. I never expected to die, COVID, election stuff, you name it. Just keeping it moving.
awesome.
Jean, thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me.
And for all of you watching, if you have other questions for Shannon, of course, reach out to her on Facebook, or she has a beautiful Facebook group as well. Go take her quiz. She'll send you some other cool stuff. And I suspect if you take her quiz, she's going to send you her new quiz coming in January for the Joy quiz.
Yes, yes, I will. Everyone on my list will get the first crack at it. We got to test it out.
Excellent. Excellent.
Thank
Well,
you.
have a beautiful holiday. And thanks for hanging with me and the whole community. And we will see you soon.
Okay, thanks, Jean.
Love you.
Love you. Adios.